Support is pouring in for Britney Spears after the pop star addressed the court calling for an end to her conservatorship. Britney unleashed, calling the conservatorship abusive and telling the judge, "I want my life back." Kaylee Hartung is in LA with more.
This morning, an enormous outpouring of celebrity support for Britney Spears after standing up for herself in court, fighting for an end to her conservatorship. Spears telling the judge by phone, "I'm not here to be anyone's slave." Her newfound strength applauded by other 90s female pop icons, Brandy and Mariah Carey sending their love on social media. And so did Britney's friend and Slumber Party collaborator Tinashe.
Loving me so hard it's causing trouble.
Halsey tweeting, "I admire her courage, speaking up for herself."
Hey, ho, ho, the conservatorship has got to go.
Spears saying that for 13 years, her father has been given way too much control over her finances and her life, down to the most personal details. The 39-year-old saying she wants to get married and have another baby, but claims she isn't allowed to remove her birth control implant. Khloe Kardashian tweeting, "No one should be treated like this. Stay strong, queen. You deserve better." Rapper Missy Elliott praying for Britney on Instagram to get control over her life again. Even her ex, Justin Timberlake, calling on the court and her family to let her live however she wants to live. Timberlake writing, "After what we saw today, we should all be supporting Britney at this time," adding, "No one should ever be held against their will or ever have to ask permission to access everything they've worked so hard for." Earlier this year, Timberlake publicly apologized to Spears after fallout from the documentary framing Britney Spears suggested he painted her in a bad light after they split, including in his post-breakup music video for his hit Cry Me a River. Now Timberlake saying, "Regardless of our past, good and bad, and no matter how long ago it was, what's happening to her is just not right." After Spears' explosive statement, an attorney speaking on behalf of her father, saying he's sorry to hear his daughter is in so much pain. Mr. Spears loves his daughter and misses her very much. Diane, Britney's explosive statement and her honesty were met with shock and resounding support as that news came out of this courthouse. From the U.S. to Brazil and Argentina, the calls to free Britney have been the talk of social media, the #1 trending topic, more than 1 million tweets joining the conversation about Britney. Britney said after so long being silenced, she wanted the world to hear her story. Well, here's her proof, Diane, that the world is listening.
Sure is. Kaylee Hartung, thanks for that. Let's go to SiriusXM radio host and ABC News contributor Mike Muse and ABC News legal contributor Shauna Lloyd for more on this. Thank you both for being here. Shauna, I'll start with you. Britney, a lot came out of this hearing. She went so far as to say some of those involved in her conservatorship should be in jail. She described being forced to tour, being forced to work 7 days a week, 10 hours a day, and being forced to have an IUD even though she wants another child. So what are the most important points that she brought up from a legal standpoint?
Well, from a legal standpoint, there's conservatorship of her person, which means she's unable to take care of her physical needs, her ability to clothe, take care of herself, to make decisions about those things. Clearly, Britney is taking steps to say that she is capable and that she wants the ability to make decisions about her person. She wants those back. There's also conservatorship of the estate, which essentially means that you're unable to take care of your financial aspects, which she is also saying that she wants the rights to do that back as well, and that she wants it back without having to submit to another mental evaluation.
So how likely is that part of it? Because she stressed that several times, that she wants the conservatorship to end, and she wants it to end without a psych evaluation. She seems to she outright says that she's heard of other cases where that's happened. Do you think that's likely to happen in this case?
I think what you're going to see is that may be easier to bypass when you talk about conservatorship of the person, because that person just has to prove that they're able to take care of themselves. They can clothe themselves, they can get themselves to the doctor and take care of themselves in that sense. The conservatorship over the estate, which are the finances, typically that's where you have to see the mental capacity to enable someone to take care of their financial situation, that they're not typically subject to undue influence or things of that nature. I think you'll see a lot more evaluations come into that portion of it than the conservatorship of the person.
And Mike, the whole world is familiar with Britney Spears' voice at this point, but she sounded very different than usual yesterday. What did you make of that?
What I made of that, Diane, was that was someone who has been in pain for a while mentally. What I made for that as someone who was fighting for her dignity, that was someone who was fighting for her humanity. What you heard in her voice was character, and what you heard in her fight was despair and desperation, pushing through people that she kept saying maybe not believing her, maybe think she was making something out of nothing, and really trying to plead before the judge to release her. Diane, imagine having to plead in front of a judge to get your own humanity and dignity back from your father has put you in this legal trapping where you feel like you can't survive, to the point where you are being regulated with an IUD when it comes to reproductive rights and family planning. For me, that was what got me. The whole ordeal is troubling, but the idea that a conservatorship, this legal matter, and Shauna's a lawyer here, so I definitely don't want to talk about those type of things, but I don't know how a legal document can control this individual from her reproductive rights and family planning. That is the right of every woman, of every man to do. And for that, I felt troubled by that. And then what was so eerie, Diane, was how she compared her experience to sex trafficking. That was shocking. I think that all gave the nation pause in terms of how she felt, that it was that extreme to sex trafficking. And finally, Diane, the idea when she said she's been working since the age of 17, whether or not you think this conservatorship is warranted or not, whether or not you were a fan of Britney Spears, whether or not you watch her YouTube VMA performance, you all can recognize that if I've been working since I've been a teenager and now I'm an adult and I still have people that I have to pay that I didn't choose on payroll where I'm getting a stipend, that would make anyone unstable. And so what she garnered yesterday was empathy from the American public.
And Shauna, to Mike's point, her testimony was very compelling for those of us on the outside of the law. But how tough is it for a judge now to decide how compelling it is from a legal standpoint and how reliable Britney's testimony is, given the reasons she was put under this conservatorship to begin with?
I think you're going to see that the judge is going to look into the allegations that she gave during her speech and her testimony. There are some disturbing things that were stated. I mean, some of the people that are working for the conservatorship are being paid through the conservatorship. So there is kind of a cyclical questioning that we have to have. We have to examine, did she need this measures and these measures to be this drastic? I think you're going to start to see the court comb through whether or not those were necessary, whether or not the conservatorship over her person is still needed and to what level. You're going to see the judge look to objective entities such as mental evaluations. You'll see them look to studies to see all these people that have been, quote unquote, evaluating her through this time. They're going to be looking to that. However, it's going to garner some question, I'm sure, in the judge's mind now that Britney has given these amazing allegations against these individuals as to how much they can be relied on, or whether she needs to bring in an independent entity to look at these different things. I think we're going to start to see a lot of that starting to process through the court system with this now.
And Shauna, we also heard from Jamie Spears through his attorney saying that Jamie's sorry to see his daughter in so much pain. He loves his daughter and misses her very much. So how are things looking for Jamie at this point? Could he face any legal repercussions here?
Well, the entity that they bought in to manage the financial management company that has been working as a co-conservator on this, they would have already gone through the financial records. They would have made sure that there was nothing untoward about what he's been doing as far as the finances. Now, they have an order of operation when there's typically a conservatorship. They do look towards a parent, if not a spouse. So that's not unusual. Now, in this case, the conservatee, who's Britney, is asking that it not be him as a conservator. So that is going to go into consideration for the court as to whether they need to independently find another third party to handle this particular conservatorship.
And Mike, we're seeing a lot of support for Spears now. Justin Timberlake was just one of many celebrities tweeting that they support Britney and want to see her get out of this. So how do you expect that she'll come out of this whole thing, regardless of the court's decision here?
I think she's going to come out of this knowing just how much loved she is. I think when you heard her talk yesterday, it's as if she has been isolated from the world, as if she's not doesn't feel like she's been seen or could be believed. I think when all this is said and done and all the legal documents clear, I think she's going to recognize that not only does her fans love her, but she's garnered a new wave of support outside of her traditional fan base that is rooting for her and wants to see her get back to herself, whatever that is, and whatever shape she has evolved into, in a very healthy and a good mental and emotional space, to where she can continue being a great mother to her children. And if she chooses to be a new mother to a new child, I think people are going to be rooting for her to come back. And I think seeing that overwhelming support was really tremendous to see and to watch. And I think, Diane, just to take this a little bit further, that I think we're going to start seeing conservatorship being judged differently. I think it's time for our nation to probably take a consideration, what is this conservatorship? Britney has the star power and the megawatts to bring this to light, but I'm thinking about during her testimony, how many of those individuals don't have that voice, don't have that star power, don't have that money, don't have that finances to be able to fight for their dignity, to be able to fight for their humanity? What about those, right? And should we be looking at conservatorships as a whole to make sure there are some safeguards in place to where someone else who doesn't have the power that Britney Spears has is being taken care of and is well managed and well sought after? That was actually something I was thinking about at the conclusion of her testimony yesterday. I think we need to examine that a little bit more.
All right, Mike Muse, Chana Lloyd, great to have you both. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.